When it comes to the future of Fanatec, we may as well be reading tea leaves. Nonetheless, we talk this and more in our news right here, right now. Greetings, Romy, you're watching Rum, the channel sharing the joy of sim racing and a regular news roundup, our weekly sim racing news. Thanks to all those who come here often, especially those who subscribe, and even more, our patrons. My name is Serta and I will be your host for this video. Oh man, this is not the kind of news we like to be reporting about, as this week saw some high-level bankruptcies happening in the world of sim racing and adjacent. Of course, the most impactful is the one by Ender, the company producing the Fanatec gear. We'll go deeper into it later in the video and we will be discussing it further on Thursday in our podcast. Because it's that time of the month, it's podcast time! We just finished recording it and it's going to be a long one because boy did we have a lot to discuss. We also have a race later today that belongs to the ASRC IndyCar season. And today is going to be on the Glen. It's going to be an interesting one for sure, as IndyCars on Watkins Glen are always an interesting sight. Oh, and did you know reading tea leaves is called tasseography? Neither did we. Race later today, podcast on Thursday, but right now, the news. Summer in the northern hemisphere means tons of heat, more and more every year, and people rather being outside than inside. Near water, touching grass, rather than inside sweating like crazy while trying to win a race. It's therefore no surprise at all that the overall user numbers for Sims have dropped a bit, as did the usage numbers for most of the Sims, as you can see. Interestingly enough, it's the two most prominent rally sims which have increased the number of users in this past month, with Dirt Rally 2 getting 32 more daily average users, while EA's WRC got 23 more daily average users. Sure, no extraordinary numbers, but on the other hand, these two, and Wreckfest, and that was before the news of the follow-up, were about the only ones gaining users. We don't expect these numbers to become a trend downwards, especially as they are high compared to last year's numbers, but we'll see during the next months. You may have heard the news that Recaro is bankrupt, but hold on to your seat, pun intended, because those news are misleading. First of all, it's Recaro Automotive who's insolvent. While they share the name of the company that historically made car seats and that is still making airplane and gaming seats, this once subsidiary of Recaro was sold in 2011 to a US company and then in 2020 sold to Raven Acquisition, a Michigan-based company. For more than a decade, Recaro Automotive has been Recaro only by name, which they could use thanks to a license agreement to the selling Recaro holding. As Recaro Automotive's factory is based in Germany, they have applied for protection under German law, which means that a lawyer appointed by a judge will be watching what the management is doing and, as far as I know, will have the last word on any management decision. We at Rum feel especially sorry for the 250 workers who had gone to many pains, even waived pay, to be able to save their company and whose sacrifice may have been for nothing. But this does not have to be the end of the company, as the way they have chosen to enter protection leaves the door open for a turnaround. And the union representatives have also something to say about that, according to German law. We'll have to wait and see. And yes, financial laws are painful to read. Thanks for asking. Huizingveld is searching for a senior product engineer for research and development projects within the company, paying up to €6,500 before taxes per month for a full-time position. This position, on the other hand, can be fulfilled for as little as 32 hours a week, so 4 working days, and partly in home office, because nowadays you won't get good people if you force them to be on premise full-time. At least that's what my customers tell me. If you are interested, send a mail to hr@huizingwelt.com or follow the link below in our description. Be advised that, as you can see in the screenshot, the position description is written in Dutch. But trust me, there's about nobody at Huizingwelt who doesn't speak English, because there's about nobody in the Netherlands who doesn't speak English. We stay in the Netherlands because the Sim Formula Europe, which we visited at the beginning of the year, see the link up there, has announced the dates for next year. We will enjoy the Sim Formula Europe 2025 once again from the 16th to the 19th of January. And of course, we'll be there. We found out an interesting tidbit of information regarding Assetto Corsa Evo and mods, as the well-known group Guerrilla Mods published a forum post on GT Planet a while ago, which we've become aware of this last week. In it, Guerrilla Mods announced they are going to be the first group publishing mods for AC2, yep, the post is that old, and that they will do it in the form of a DLC for the sim. In their post, they claim they are working with car manufacturers to make the mods as best as they can. Guerrilla Mods has already published excellent free and paid mods for Assetto Corsa in the past, and they are a renowned group, even if less known than others. This points to the possibility of Kunos publishing the work of mod makers as DLCs for AC Evo and maybe facilitating contact to car manufacturers. We'll see when it's out, we suppose. We are positively stoked for the announced Wreckfest 2, which seems to already be far in development, as you can wishlist the game on Steam already. We very much expect it to be as much fun as the first Wreckfest, and on top of that, it seems it will bring new ways to customize your car, a skill-based matchmaking system for online wrecking, and even a split-screen mode to wreck with a friend on site. And while no release date has been given, it will be coming out for all possible consoles and for PCs, and we sure hope crossplay is there from day one. Hey, if you can't beat them, wreck 'em. And yes, Bugbear, you can use the slogan free of charge. A teeny tiny change will be visible in SCS truck simulators in the next version 1.51, and that will be a new lean title screen with much better design than the title screen they are using at the moment. Nothing revolutionary, rather something evolutionary, but it does look slick. Le Mans Ultimate saw yet another patch or hotfix, or it's getting confusing. Anyway, it updates circuit details in Imola, as wet weather now activating at Imola, Bahrain and Le Mans does not show you the Le Mans track map anymore when you're driving at Imola, and fixes the LODs on the Peugeot 9X8 2024. It also changes the race start slightly so that penalties are less strict, and fixes track limits all around the place. SnowRunner, which at the moment is at half the price on Steam and we can wholeheartedly recommend, see the link up there, our opinion from then still stands today, saw a medium-sized update this week with a lot of small graphic issues corrected, but also some physics issues like the GMC Brigadier 8000's wheel centers, which were not on the axis. That must have been a wobbly ride. With regards to co-op, it fixes a lot of crashes that happened in the App Store, makes the support of Moza wheels better, and many other smaller bugs. The details, as always, following the link in our description. If you like Game of Thrones, you sure will love the drama unfolding at Fanatec, as the parent company, and for all intents and purposes the company that is Fanatec, Ender AG, has declared itself not able to pay what they owe according to German law. In colloquial English, it's all defined under the blanket word bankruptcy, but in financial terms they are insolvent, meaning they could survive if for a while they don't have to pay their bills, and for a company as big as Fanatec, we tend to believe that. This in turn has led to Corsair, who were publicly and openly thinking about buying Fanatec Ender, to retract from it and stop the payments they were making. Though they have gone public saying they are still interested in acquiring the company, and truth to be told, if I had the money I would, but first thing I would do was to fire all management at sea level immediately, no matter the costs. But I digress. If you want to know the whole story of Fanatec's troubles, check the video linked up there where we went to all of it bit by bit. Why do we compare all this to Game of Thrones? Because there's two narratives at play, which may or may not have more to do with a fight for power within the company than to anything else. Let's start with a look at the facts. Ender owes 95 million euro to different companies, most of all to the banks, at the tune of 70 of those 95 millions. Their yearly cash flow is 100 million euro, so they could only pay the money back if they would not pay for anything else, which of course is not going to happen, as you have to pay wages, material, energy, etc, etc. Back to the two narratives. Ender management's official position is that they need to activate the German Staruk law to be able to reorganize themselves, get an investor, or outright sell the company to anybody else, for example Corsair. But a fact of that law is that stockholders have no say in what the company does, making their power obsolete. And Ender announced that in case of selling Fanatec to Corsair, the stockholders would come out empty-handed. Enter Thomas Yakamaya, founder and until beginning of this year CEO of Ender, who also owns a very important chunk of the stocks at a tiny bit under 50%. He's been of course fighting this move into Staruk protection tooth and nail, as it would leave him no say in the company he built and of which he still owns a sizable part. He's gone on record saying the current management wanted to sell all along, and their path using Staruk was a way to sideline the stockholders and move ahead with what they had planned from the very beginning, even before they went into protection. He called for an extraordinary shareholder meeting to excise the current management, at least the CEO and the CFO, supposedly to put himself again into the CEO position. Him owning that large portion of the company would mean he just needed to ally himself with a small-ish number of stock owners and take over. The current management may have seen no other way of declaring bankruptcy other than the actual one, as their path to Staruk was blocked by Yakamaya, or they may be trying to force Yakamaya's hand, as according to them, Yakamaya, while blocking the path to Staruk, has not offered any other path to save the company. So who's the Tyrion Lannister here and who's the Joffrey Baratheon? We honestly don't know, as we are not privy to any insights. We just ordered an extra serving of popcorn and will be watching from the sidelines in horror, while Fanatec, the biggest brand in sim racing, seemingly spirals out of control. And where are the dragons? They were the most sympathetic characters in the whole series. Well, them and Arya.